We only need to use the word faith when there isn't any evidence.
I presume you've got faith in your wife. Is there any evidence for that?
Yes,
Yes,
plenty of evidence.
We have ample evidence that it worked, and I would say the same thing about the biblical text.
Predictions you derive from quantum physics are fulfilled to the umpteenth decimal place.
This looks like a disagreement about God, but it's not. This is a disagreement about what counts as truth. Dawkins is approaching this like a scientist. Truth means something testable, measurable, predictive. But the people he debates are often making philosophical claims about meaning, not measurement.
When you say faith is rational and evidence-based, I mean, if that were true, it wouldn't need to be faith, would it? I mean, if there were evidence for it, why would you need to call it faith? You would say just evidence.
Dawkins is saying if there were real evidence, you wouldn't call it faith, you just call it evidence.
And when you said that faith in relativity, in Einstein's theory of relativity, is evidence-based, that of course it is, but the evidence is all important. I mean, Einstein's predictions fit in with observed fact and with a whole body of theory, whereas we only need to use the word faith when there isn't any evidence.
So in his framework, faith and evidence are opposites. If there were evidence, you wouldn't call it faith.
No, not at all. I presume you've got faith in your wife. Is there any evidence for that?
Yes,
Yes,
plenty of evidence.
But that's a completely different definition of faith. That's faith as trust based on evidence. So it's not just a disagreement about evidence, it's a disagreement about what faith even means.
And one of the things you said was that although it's perhaps even impossible for creatures embodied like us to get a grip on quantum phenomena, the strange wave-particle duality, for example, we have ample evidence that it works, and stellarly. And I would say exactly the same thing about the biblical text.
Peterson is treating the Bible like something that works, something meaningful, something that reveals truth over time.
If they run into a mystery, like there's a horizon of mystery, which I do not claim to penetrate, but insofar as I've been able to understand the text, every time I make a improvement in understanding, it reveals something to me that's just like shattering.
So for him, truth isn't just something you measure. It's something you understand more deeply over time.
The difference is that predictions you derive from quantum physics are fulfilled to the umpteenth decimal place.
Dawkins is evaluating it like a scientific theory, something that has to make precise, testable predictions. And this pattern shows up outside the debates as well.
Something you're not interested in doing, debating William Lane Craig?
I vowed not to. The sort of professional debaters on behalf of religion, people like William Craig, I've no time for him.
Notice how he frames that professional debaters. He's dismissing that entire category of argument.
I feel such contempt for him because it says about the Israelites slaughtering the Midianites, and instead of saying what any decent theologian would say, well, it never happened, and this is just an Old Testament story. He says, well, the Midianites had it coming.
Craig is a philosopher. He operates almost entirely in that philosophical framework, and Dawkins has chosen not to engage with that. But that's exactly the domain where his mismatch happens. So instead of resolving it, he avoids it.